If you are new here, hit the subscribe button and remember to enable all notifications so you get everything that I drop. And if you've been here for a while, consider becoming a member. Click the join button at the bottom of any video and watch the video there for details on what memberships offer. There's 3 different tiers. You can get access to early content, early exclusives, and maybe even be on a video with me. And no matter what, it all helps support this channel. Thank you very much and enjoy this video. You know I always keep it real on this channel. You know I always give you my opinions from the heart. And I'm going to be real with y'all. I'm not really feeling the way the Granola Arc has gone so far. It's only been about 4 months, and there's always a chance that the arc could improve and wind up being a fun arc by the end of it. And it is too soon to say the whole arc will suck. I'm not saying that. There are aspects of this arc that I enjoy, but there are a lot of aspects of this arc that have really turned me off to it. And I want to say this, if you are enjoying the Granola Arc, if you love it, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with liking whatever you like. And I really hate that I have to say that, but I noticed that myself and several other creators all over YouTube, not just Dragon Ball, we're talking about video games, movies, music, whatever, have to always say, if you like it, that's okay, or if you dislike it, that's okay, when we shouldn't have to say that. I hate that we have to say that because we live in this weird internet society where if you have a disagreement about something, and if you disagree with somebody else, or you dislike something they like, or vice versa, it becomes this big civil war when it shouldn't even be that. And you know that whenever I give you an opinion on something, I'm at least going to tell you why I feel that way. And we should respect each other's opinions, but sometimes in the anime fandom, or just the internet as a whole, you don't get that. Some people will label you stuff like fanboy or hater or this and that, and it's so damn immature. Especially when it comes to somebody like me who, I've always been very real with y'all. And I've changed my mind on things. So maybe I'll look back on this and like it when it's all said and done. But so far, the Granola Arc is not doing it for me. And at the very least, what I'll do, because I respect you, is I'm going to tell you exactly why I feel that way. And even if you disagree with me about it, I would like you to at least hear what I have to say. Because maybe even if you don't agree with it, you'll at least understand why I feel this way and maybe you'll think about it. So let me tell you what the issues are, and I really hope that they get fixed in the future because I don't want to dislike Dragon Ball arcs. I want to love all of them, but they're not all going to be perfect. So the Mora arc had problems, but it started out pretty interesting and actually kept the interest, for me at least, for the first half of the arc. After a while it kind of dipped in quality a little bit, but the first half of it I thought was pretty solid. On the other hand, with Granola, besides the world building and the expansion of the Dragon Ball mythos, there are things that bug me about this story arc so far. I always enjoy seeing new planets and new Dragon Balls and new powers and things like that. And that's the thing I do appreciate about the Granola Arc. But besides that, there's not really that good of a setup when it comes to a story. The big payoff on this arc is going to be Granola's revenge on Frieza and what happens, and his eventual confrontation with Goku and Vegeta. That's it. Possibly the Heaters could get involved. Maybe even we'll see Broly. Maybe we'll see some other new characters come in. Maybe 7-3 will come back. But right now it's being positioned as the revenge of Granola. Well, first of all, while that may seem like a good idea on the surface, we don't know too much about Granola enough to invest in him as a character to want vengeance on Frieza. Now, by default, I do love revenge stories. I grew up with Steven Seagal movies and movies like Taken. I do love my revenge stories. But the reason why I think it doesn't work for me with Granola is that it's revenge on Frieza. And while Frieza is my favorite character in all of Dragon Ball, he's also a character that's gotten kind of long in the tooth. He's already died multiple times, and if Granola kills him, how do we know for sure he'll stay dead this time? How do we know for sure they won't just find a way to bring him back in the future? Well, we don't know that, and that's the problem, is that anything could happen that could create a series of events to bring Frieza back to life yet again. And it's something that is even more likely to happen now because of the revelation that there are more Dragon Balls out there besides just the ones on Earth and Namek. So if there are other planets in Universe 7 or maybe other universes that have Dragon Balls, What's to stop Frieza's empire or somebody else who's a Frieza supporter from bringing him back to life? And that's one fundamental issue that leads to a bigger issue, and that is, of course, the fact that Dragon Ball has no stakes anymore because we have so many Dragon Balls. Goku's friends with all of the most powerful characters in the multiverse, so really, what's there to worry about? They tried it with Moro when it came to stakes, and they only scraped the surface, especially at the very end. It wasn't enough for me. And this is a much more personal story about one character wanting revenge on another character that does not involve any kind of world or universal domination or any kind of major implications for anybody else outside of the character of Frieza. Now, granted, they try to make us care about Granola, but it's not really enough yet. I appreciate their efforts, but I just don't care about this character enough to really warrant seeing multiple chapters of him chasing down Frieza. Which is why I am hoping that at some point the manga changes direction and gives us something fresh. On the surface, introducing new Dragon Balls is kind of a cool idea on the surface, but the way this was executed was very, very poor. The way that Toyotaro and Toriyama introduced these new Dragon Balls on Planet Cereal and the Cereal Dragon and made it so easy, not only just to gather the Dragon Balls, but to actually have his wish granted immediately with a small sacrifice of his life in 3 years, by the way, not even right away, could actually be the laziest writing in the history of the series. It's definitely the laziest since Resurrection F, when Frieza just got stronger by training for 4 months because he never trained before, which really makes no sense when you think about the history of his family or the history of Frieza as a character prior to Resurrection F. That was very lazy when that came out. But this is even beyond that. And I'm going to tell you exactly as to why it does not work. The problem with Granola is that we're supposed to have empathy for him as a babyface. We're supposed to care about him as a character. We're supposed to want him to get revenge and to avenge the loss of his family and his civilization by killing Frieza. The problem is that when you take a protagonist, and he is not the main character, but he is the protagonist of this arc, and you have him accomplish his goal literally with almost no work at all, you have ruined the entire hero's journey. There was no quest, there was no adversity, there was no hill for him to climb to become this great warrior. And even if the story's not about him, we don't care about him if he doesn't have a quest to accomplish his goal. Within about 25 pages, we found out there were more Dragon Balls that just happened to be found on the day Granola goes back to his home planet, and he happens to be at home, and he happens to be watching TV, and he happens to be on the right channel at the right time where they report that they found the missing Dragon Ball that was missing for 50 years to where he could grant his wish and become the strongest warrior that he just happened to find out about. And at the same time, across the galaxy, across the universe, you have people on planet Namek talking about there might be more Dragon Balls out there, all within the same exact time frame. There have been coincidences in Dragon Ball before, but this is like a supernova of coincidences that encompasses billions of solar systems. And just like that, without any story at all, Granola becomes the strongest mortal in Universe 7. At least characters like Cell had to absorb 17 and 18 before they became perfect. At least Majin Buu had to absorb people. At least Moro had to fight through and survive using his tactics and eventually swallow 7-3 before he got his ultimate power. And while Granola is not the protagonist, he's being positioned clearly by Toriyama as not being an evil guy. So how can we as an audience have sympathy for him if he has no journey? He just achieved this power by cheating, which is something that a villain would normally do. But even if a villain does it, it wouldn't be good writing. And we've had villains in the past go through actual quests to get their power. Nothing with Granola. And it makes the story uninteresting, and it was only done so that we can get to the fighting, because I guess that Toriyama thinks that if we make people wait too long for fighting, that they'll lose attention or something like that. That's never been a problem in Dragon Ball in the past, but I guess now he's worried about that. It makes no sense, and it's mind-blowing to me as to how he could write something so lazy. And then on top of that, the Dragon Balls themselves are broken, because what's stopping anybody else from not only wishing to be the strongest, but also wishing for immortality? So if you wish to be the strongest, and the dragon just gives it to you, and then he says, okay, well, you're going to die in 3 years. Okay, then I'll go make a wish to another set of Dragon Balls, and I'll wish to be immortal. In which case, I'm good forever. For a long time, Dragon Ball already had problems with having stakes and having things be on the line and having things matter. But now that they've done this in the Granola Arc, it makes Dragon Ball's story seem even thinner. It makes their future and former plot lines seem possibly less impactful. And it really, to me, dilutes the story of what's to come. It's just not interesting to me. And I hope that things turn around. I'll keep covering it, but I really do hope that things turn around, because right now I'm kind of just hoping for something good to happen. But that's not all. There's something else bugging me about this arc, which I'll get to right now. Let's talk about Goku and Vegeta. So, throughout the entire Moro arc, and even way before that, people have wanted Vegeta to get more respect. They want him to finish off a final villain. They want him to get the same amount of love as Goku, and that's probably not going to happen only because he's not the main character. However, just because Vegeta's not the main character does not mean that they can't come up with something interesting from a writing perspective for him to do. I thought in the Moro arc, Vegeta learning Force Spirit Fission was a great idea. And even though he's not going to have the kind of power and speed that Ultra Instinct Goku has, he becomes infinitely more dangerous by knowing that move. And now in the Granola arc, Vegeta wants to learn more powers and more techniques, but he chooses Hakai. Now again, Vegeta learning Hakai, to me, will lead to him killing Frieza at some point. I understand that. I also understand why Hakai would be a very useful technique to know. However, what I don't understand is how Vegeta as a character would really care this much about learning Hakai when it's not going to put him anywhere close to being as powerful or as fast or as effective as Goku is in battle. The idea was always for Vegeta to gain a power that was similar to Ultra Instinct but different, like a different pathway for him. But learning Hakai to me is one of the most uninteresting things he could possibly do, because even though I like his interactions with Beerus and I think it could lead somewhere, I don't see how it's going to matter for him as a character beyond just wiping somebody out once or twice. Vegeta has always been able to destroy, with or without Hakai. Obviously, Hakai is a more effective tool at destroying things, but he's always been able to destroy things, and he always has. He's always been able to kill whoever he wants, except those that are more powerful than him. So why would Hakai be effective if not to kill either Frieza or Granola? But beyond that, what good is it? Where is Vegeta's actual growth, and how is he closing the gap between him and Goku? If anything, the gap is widening between him and Goku, because now Goku has silver-haired UI. And I discussed my problem with this in a previous video I did a couple months ago, where I discussed that there's a huge power gap now and a power creep in Dragon Ball Super that's getting ridiculous. Nobody besides the gods can match up to Goku when it comes to the Z Warriors. None of them can. Gohan will never catch up to him now. Vegeta probably won't, based on the way things are going, because Ultra Instinct Goku is so freaking powerful. It's just mind-blowing, and now he can do it at will. Plus, on top of that, we find out there are higher levels of UI that angels can use, so now Goku will be upgrading his Ultra Instinct as we go along. First of all, I have no problem with him upgrading UI. What I do have a problem with is the fact that it literally came out of nowhere. There were no hints to it. There was no teasing of it. It's just, hey, guess what? There's higher forms of UI. And granted, in Dragon Ball Z, they never hinted at there being a higher form of Super Saiyan until probably around the first quarter or so of the Cell Saga, when Vegeta and Goku have that conversation about surpassing their limitations. And that's fine. The series has always done this. But in this case, Ultra Instinct's been around for several arcs. Angels have been around since the beginning of Super with Battle of Gods. And now suddenly, because Toyotaro and Toriyama realized they wrote themselves into a corner by having Goku surpass UI or master UI effectively and use it at will, now they have to figure out, well, what's next? Oh, we'll just give him higher levels of UI. It's going to be an endless power chase now, and nobody else can keep up with him at all. At least in Dragon Ball Z, you had Gohan, you had Future Trunks, later on you had Gotenks. You had other characters that had the possibility of at least equaling Goku's power or maybe even being stronger than him. But now we've gotten to a point where Gohan, Piccolo, and the others are literally just going to be glorified henchmen. They're going to be guys that come in and fight the B guys and are never going to even have a shot at even coming close to fighting an A-tier villain or an A-tier enemy. It's all going to be Goku and Vegeta and maybe somebody else. Maybe Broly or maybe Beerus if they ever decide to have him fight. And I like seeing the other characters, but the truth is that their usefulness has gone down. Yamcha, Tenshinhan, and Krillin were big deals in Dragon Ball and in the early Saiyan saga. And as Dragon Ball Z progressed, they kind of took a back seat to Trunks and Gohan and Goten and all these other characters. Now in Super, it really is Gohan and Piccolo taking their roles to where they're pretty much just J-Brones. And there's a lot of Gohan fans out there and a lot of Piccolo fans out there that want to see them do better. But what are they going to do except be Goku cheerleaders? That's it. And so to me, it devalues the characters. Not as people, but as characters in a story that's mostly going to be about fighting. There have been decisions made so far in the Granola Arc that to me have hurt my interest in reading it. I will keep reading it. I will keep covering it, hoping it gets better. But if I'm being honest with you, this is the least interested I've been in Dragon Ball in years and years and years. And I really do hope that they do something to get me excited again. Because I want to love Dragon Ball again. I want to love it to death. But right now I'm just kind of waiting for something cool to happen or something to evolve in the story. Overall, not cool like a cool fight or a cool moment. Those are nice. But something tangible that can get me interested in the future of the franchise as much as I was when Super first started. With that being said, thank you for watching. Have a great day and take care of yourself.